Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Guitar Talk. I'm Mike Higgins, and I'm your host. We like to talk about all varieties of music, and certainly about guitars. If you've got a nice instrument or an old instrument at home that you'd like to share with the viewing audience, reach out to me. Maybe we can talk about displaying it on the show. We have a wide variety of incredibly talented guests. I'm very much in awe of the level of talent that exists throughout New England. I think we're one of the pockets in the United States that has a deep reservoir of great talent. Today is no exception. You're going to be delighted with today's guest, my friends. He has long been considered the premier Elvis entertainer in the business, period, bar none. He can be found entertaining in a wide variety of venues, casinos, nightclubs, you name it, he's everywhere. He has a new band called The Rising Sun, and they're just unbelievable. You can see them locally, actually. You can go over to Plain Ridge and catch the show there. My friends Neil Vitullo and Stevie Bigelow share the stage with them in Rising Sun, and this is roots music played at its absolute peak. It's the master's stuff. So please welcome Mr. Robert Black. Welcome aboard, Robert.
How are you, Michael? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So, when I first heard of you, it was through our mutual friend, Mike Gabriel.
Yeah.
Wonderful talent, musician, and he used to tell me about the weekend gigs he was doing with you guys. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, you're the number one Elvis guy. Tell me a little bit about how that process took place, how you morphed into...
Wow. How it basically took place was, during my career playing music, I was very fortunate that the gentleman upstairs gave me a voice that, the only way I could describe it is, when I was younger, there was a guy called Rich Little. He was an impressionist.
I remember him.
Remember? And he would go out and he'd do Ed Sullivan, he'd do Demon, he'd do all the people. That's kind of what happened to me with singers' voices. Is that I was able to sound like other people without really putting a lot of effort into it. It was a natural thing. I was just very fortunate.
Yeah.
And everywhere I would go, people would say, and it wasn't just people my own age and the age group that grew up with the artist that I was singing. It was even younger people who maybe they heard the music through their moms and dads or whatever. They'd say, you know, you sound just like that guy when you sing him. And I'd say, well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. I appreciate it. And this would go on. And then one day I had an opportunity to do a tribute gem, and I did it. And it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I had a ball, because I wasn't just a singer or an entertainer. It was almost like being an actor, because I had to act out the individual
Right, you had to get those mannerisms, get into character.
Exactly. And I had so much fun with it. I said, you know, there may be something here. I think I'm going to do a couple of guys or a few people that I really enjoy music that they do, that inspired me when I was younger. And one was Elvis, one was Johnny Cash, and I even dabbled a little bit with Dean Martin doing some crooning stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I still do some like Roy Orbison on the side, and Conway, you know, some of those guys.
Yeah.
Anybody with black hair that I could pretty much find. But Elvis is the guy that is like the mass for everybody, you know. So that's pretty much where it went. And actually the people in the public brought it to there. They made the decision for me.
The thing that always amazed me about Elvis and that music, when you look at, you go back to the Sun stuff and you move through the catalog, there's an era there that's going to reach everybody eventually.
That's right.
You know, I mean, I've probably first really noticed him and get into him around the Hawaii thing, the Vegas style stuff, and that made me listen back to the early stuff. And I was like, wow, who's this Scotty Moore guy? Wow, listen to this guitar. And as a guitar geek, you know, you had to go nuts when you heard the Sun stuff. It was just out of sight.
Amazing.
And so that got me, you know, to listen to all of it eventually, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact that you were able to capture that and get into character, that just makes it, you know, have broad appeal to everybody.
It's I'd say this to everybody. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's never a finished product, you know. Not that I'm not
He
happy
was never
with
a finished product.
Well, you know, it's so funny that, and you're absolutely correct when you say that. The Sun Records stuff, he was a kid. You know, he was very young, and
Yeah.
some of it was a fluke. I mean, when they did That's All Right Mama, they were having a terrible session that evening. It was a Monday night with Scotty and Bill Black. That's all. And Sam Phillips put that together because those gentlemen had day jobs. So he said, we got this boy Elvis. I want to put him in a studio with you guys and let's see what we can do. And Elvis is singing ballad after ballad, and Sam just didn't feel it, you know. And it was an accident that nothing was working, and Scotty said, Sam, we got to wrap this up. I got to go to work tomorrow. And Sam said, yeah, man, hang in there. Maybe just a couple more songs. And there come Elvis from behind the console. I don't know if you ever been at Sun Records, but the way the console
I've been down
was
there, but I
behind the
never
wall.
got in the studio.
Yeah, it's a very cool, a very cool place. And Elvis come out singing That's All Right Mama, just like singing it, like, you know, that's all right, Mama, that's all right. And Sam goes, what are you singing? And he goes, you know, that Arthur Crudup song. That's All Right Mama. And he goes, you know the words? And he goes, yeah, I know enough of it. And they told Scotty and they told Bill. And the third take that they did on it is the one that you and I got to listen to as the A-side. And if he didn't come out and they didn't hear that, that might have been a moot point that evening.
History would have been a lot different.
History would have been a lot different. It also might have been a lot different if Sam Phillips didn't get in trouble with the Hound Dog thing going on and getting sued for copyright infringement, and he sold Elvis's contract to RCA Records, who had a lot more funds and a lot more money to bring Elvis to a different level.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything happens. It's weird the way the dominoes fall into place.
Sure
but that
does.
music was so cool and so different than what you were talking about with the Aloha in '73 and that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you know, I think everybody in our age group got to see James Burton playing guitar on Ozzie and Harriet with Ricky Nelson.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as years went by, oh, that's the guy.
That's the guy, man.
That's that finger-picking style that no one can get the sound.
Right.
You know?
It was incredible. At that point, Elvis was at a point in his career where he could have anybody play in the band. It was just if he said, you know, I want Mike Higgins to play guitar, Mike Higgins went to go play guitar.
That's
and
it.
the
You
story.
jumped.
There was nothing else because Elvis was the biggest there was. I mean, even a point in that is when he did Guitar Man, Jerry Reed song.
Yeah.
They were having trouble in the session. They couldn't get the thing down. The guitar players were having trouble playing, so Elvis said, get Jerry to come in and play the guitar.
Oh, Jerry's on that recording?
That's Jerry Reed playing, and they said, that's Jerry's song. He's not going to come in and play guitar for you. He said, well, get him on the phone. And Jerry goes,
he will.
Jerry goes, I'll be right down.
Yeah.
And he came in and they hit it off, and all that guitar playing is Jerry Reed playing his own song back in Elvis.
I mean, you know, you hear a lot of talk of the really great guitar players, Chuck Berry and the guys, but to me, rock and roll guitar started with That's All Right Mama.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you hear that sound, you know, just the way that bass is whacking it, and that
So
it's like
the
it's so
percussiveness.
exciting, that music to this day, because you know, it was so fresh and new, and it still sounds fresh and new.
You know, that's the thing about it is that, you know, people always say this, it doesn't matter the genre of the music.
That's right.
Good music is good music.
Only two kinds of music, good and
that's
bad.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, that was something new. And like Elvis said, I think people wanted something new. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
That's for sure.
Doing what they did. And
That's for sure.
it all grew from that. You know that as a guitar player and as an entertainer. It all goes back to that roots of that little rockabilly that they created.
When I was in my teens, I'd read articles from the big English rock stars, Jeff Beck and Page and Clapton, and you know, Jeff particularly was in awe of Scotty Moore.
Amazing.
I mean, and they did an album together a few years back
Keith
called
Richards,
All the
said
King's
same.
Men.
Yeah.
And when I heard those guys freaking out over Scotty and how they were trying to capture that sound and the slap echo, and It was like, okay, Scotty's on the throne. He's the guy, you know?
He was the man.
Yeah.
I mean, his licks and things that he did truly made those recordings. I mean, Elvis was, Elvis. There was nothing like him
Right.
vocally. We understand that. But, most of the gentlemen and the women who were out recording at the time had very standard backup musicians.
It was very formulated.
It was very formulated. It was, it was what it was. And every now and then you might have got someone who could maybe pick a little faster. But Scotty, I mean,
He stood out.
he stood out.
He was the accompanist in the band, but you couldn't help but like, wow, what's that? What's that
Right.
sound? It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That combo was just,
It was it.
it was made to be.
It was made to be. And then when they put in DJ Fontana, the drummer, the rest was
I met a guy
history.
that played with DJ. In fact, I did a couple of gigs with him. Do you remember Sleepy LaBeef?
Sleepy LaBeef, our friend Steve Bigelow,
Bigsy's first pro gig.
does some gigs with him.
That's right. I guess the way the story goes, Sleepy went and asked permission from Stevie's parents if he could take him the day after he graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Can I bring you on the road?
Yeah.
Imagine that. But
Sleep-
Sleepy was the last guy signed to Sun.
Yeah, he was actually on the Louisiana Hayride
That's right.
tours along with Elvis, and even Johnny was on there. Johnny Cash and a few of the early guys that were on there that were all friendly. Sleepy was actually on that tour for
That's
a while.
unbelievable. He used to tell me about DJ Fontana and how he played with him and
He's still playing.
did some things. and-
Sleepy.
yeah,
he's
I
still-
know he's like semi-retired now.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure he slowed down a little.
he'll never
bit.
stop.
But I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's going to hang it up.
Yeah, yeah. Now, so we got a bunch of years. You got your solo thing built up nice and strong. Now let's morph into the new project with
Sure.
Rising Sun.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
doing Elvis and Johnny and
Yeah, basically, what we did, Mike, was we put together a band called the Elvis Express Band, which has Neil Vitullo playing guitar, Steve Bigelow's playing bass, John Cody's playing drums, Jimmy Hitt is playing keyboards, Stephen Chinisi is playing keyboards also. He's doing the horns and strings,
Oh, yeah.
embellishment, all that type of thing. And then we've got two background singers, Leetta Barrett and Lisa Marie. And, we work
oh,
periodically.
I didn't know
with
Lisa
them.
Marie was in the
Yeah,
band.
Lisa.
She's dynamite.
Oh, I met her at a place in Providence. It was
What
an
a
open
voice.
jam night, and she was up singing. And I said to her, would you ever consider being a backup singer in an Elvis band? She looked at me like, I don't know. And I said, well, here's my number. Give me some contact for you. And she said, I like the guys in the band.
Yeah.
And I like the concept. I like the idea. I'll give it a whirl, see what we do. And the only downside to that band is the number of people and the monetary
it's a production,
situation.
and it costs a little money to bring it in.
So if you work locally, it's not bad, but you can't really tour with it because there are other gentlemen doing the same show in other states.
Right.
They don't have to pay accommodations and flights and all that type of thing. So we don't work a lot. But one of my favorite things with the Sun Records was the $1 Million Quartet.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing was just taking that band and making it 5-piece with Neil, Steve, John, and Jimmy, and myself. So I do the early Elvis and I do the Johnny from Sun. Neil does the Carl Perkins.
Yep.
And Jim Hitt, who plays keyboards, does the Jerry Lee Lewis. So we kind of put it together, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, you
Steven,
got the perfect guys.
well,
It's just
Steven does the upright,
yeah.
which adds such a
And he
dimension to it.
understands where the beat lies, where the groove lies in that music because of his experience playing with people like Sleepy.
That's right.
And I mean, for guitar, is there anybody better than Neil?
I
haven't heard him yet.
I'm sure there is, but I mean,
For the music,
from the music aspects, he's just a thrill.
The roots
like,
music,
I
yeah.
enjoy listening to him play as much as the people in the crowd listen to him play. You know, there are some musicians when they're playing and you're taking a solo or something, they're there, but they're not really listening. They're playing. But when Neil's playing, I actually I'm so focused on what
Right.
he's doing because it's such a pleasure to listen to that.
You'll
style.
never have to worry about him phoning it in.
No.
I mean, he just explodes on stage. He
Yeah.
was the first guest I ever had
Oh, really?
on Guitar
I
Talk.
think I saw part of that
Yep.
show. In
When we
fact.
decided to do this, I said it's got to start with Neil.
Yeah.
It's got to start.
And you know what I love about him? I mean, besides the fact that he's a wonderful gentleman.
Yeah, he's a
got
great guy.
Fantastic personality. As humble as the day is long for the talent
Totally
that he's
professional.
been given. Totally professional. What I like about him is when we first did the Express Band, we're recreating the Elvis show. That's what we're doing. We're not playing Elvis covers. It's Elvis and the band for that hour, 90 minutes. That's what people are coming to the show
Yeah.
for the recreation. And everybody knows that James Burton was a great guitar player. But James just stood there and played. He wasn't Neil's flashiness.
Right.
In other words, because Neil's just got a fantastic style of playing, which is not only great to listen to, but also fun to watch.
Entertaining.
And Neil understood what James did in Elvis's band, that he just stood there and played the parts, and that's what Neil does. And with the Rising Sun, with the Sun Records, he can be a little bit more Neil, which is fun because Carl used to like to move around.
He was
a little
animated.
bit. He was quite animated.
Yeah.
So it adds a lot, and I think for the people that grew up with the music, it's a great project to see
No doubt.
because it hits home.
Now,
For the
you
people-
guys you have an extended amount of dates at Plain Ridge Casino.
Yes, I've
So
been.
the audience that's local here can get out and see you.
Absolutely, I would love for the local people to come and see us.
Yeah.
I signed on with Plain Ridge. In fact, I think it was this June was their third year in business already. I signed on with them in October of their first year. Mm-hmm. So they were only open about 4 months, 5 months when I went in. And I signed with them to do once a month through the year.
Yeah.
Just doing the Elvis show with tracks. And it's just grown. It's grown out in the area. And then we brought the Rising Sun Band in 2 months ago. So we've done 2 gigs. And now we'll also be doing September, October, November, and December.
Fantastic.
And now we're in negotiations with them. I should be getting probably contracts this week to do, myself personally, I'll be there January through December again of 19. And we're trying to do the same with
Some more with the Rising Sun.
Yeah.
You know, the way you just explained that is what I tell venue operators everywhere I go. The quality of the entertainment is going to plant the seed to bring in more people to come.
Mm-hmm.
So many venues are trying to cut corners, cut budgets, knock down a 5-piece band, just bring in 2 guys to sit on a patio somewhere.
Right.
I mean, God bless anyone that's out there gigging. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we want to cultivate really good produced live shows in New England again and bring it back to what it was like when we were getting started, you've got to raise the bar a little bit. You've
Right.
got to get the good acts in. It might cost a couple of more bucks, but you can probably get a few bucks at the door. And if you get another 30, 50, 60 people that show up because this is the gotta-see band, you got to see
Right.
this act, everybody wins.
It's very true. There are things that you can do as a live band. As I said, by adding a second keyboard player, I didn't have to worry about putting a horn section together.
Right.
And some people doing strings. That was going to be a costly project, Mike, to put the charts together
Oh,
and
yeah.
to do all that. And should it not pan out, that was going to be a wasted investment. So by doing the second keyboard player, it took the place of that and it worked out perfectly. The same thing with live bands. I know a lot of people frown upon tracks and things like that with live entertainment, but the fact is there are professional bands out there doing stadiums with backing tracks.
That's right. That's been going on longer than most people
It's been
even
going
know.
on forever. I mean,
Yeah.
there are drummers
Yeah.
with either, you don't see them anymore because of, technology. They stick them in their ear, but
Yep.
they used to wear headphones on the stage.
Yep.
And, I saw Queen in the 70s with backing tracks.
They spun reel to reel.
They spun reel to reel.
tracks.
Elvis,
And boy, if you missed the cue, you were doomed.
in the '68 comeback, Elvis came out to do the last song in the white suit, "If I Can Dream," with backing tracks. You know, he was one of
Yeah.
the first guys to use backing tracks in the '60s. So when people frown upon the tracks because it's taking a job away, that's not necessarily true. If you use them to enhance your product, then you can give people a better show for a good value.
And there's a real difference between a guy like yourself who's bringing just a real spirit. You're channeling, you're getting a character presented across. There's a real entertainment going on there. And that should be the case with all the bands. You know, if you show up to really entertain and connect with the crowd, they're not going to notice if you got tracks. They're not going to care because you're putting on a great show.
That's correct. It's correct. And like in the case of the artist that I do an Elvis, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but the band is second. The people are coming to see the
come
guy
to
who's
see-
doing
yeah.
Elvis. They want to see what you look like in the suit. They want to see if you look the part. They want to see if you can do justice to the greatest entertainer alive. Who's playing guitar and who's playing drums is secondary to them. To me, it's not. To me, it's very important that I'm very lucky I have the talent level that I do
Right.
behind me. But to them, anybody could be playing. It's the gentleman that they're coming
right.
to see who's doing the main act. So having said that, it's important to interact with your audience, you know. And I'll give you, for instance, when I do a track show, I just did a 2-hour show in Auburn, Mass. The other night at the Pappas Complex outdoors. It's my 5th year I've been there. The crowd has gotten larger and larger every year. I'm so happy about that, and the people there are very happy. I put in that 2-hour show, no matter where I go when I'm doing tracks, I only have 5 and 10-second blanks in between songs. That's 1001, 1002. It's very quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't over inundate people with facts and talking and trying to catch my breath in between songs. It's 5 seconds
You're
and I'm into
entertaining
it.
them the whole time.
The second hour, they look tired. The people look tired, and they'll tell me, "Man, I was getting tired listening to you. How do you do it? You don't take a break?" I said, "You know, I was born for the job, man." What do you want?
You know, folks, I'd be remiss if
Oh,
we didn't
yes.
draw some attention to this beauty. This is called Guitar Talk. And you can see we have a very incredibly beautiful customized instrument here. Tell us a little bit about this baby.
Well, this baby, this came from there's a gentleman out in Italy who is making these for people, not this particular guitar, but guitars custom made for people all over the world. Very big bands, very big names. And a friend of mine, Greg Page, who lives in Narragansett area in Rhode Island, hooked up with him to rep the line up in the Northeast.
Excellent.
So he would go around, and they've got wonderful products, like they'll do Harley Davidson, Corvette, and the big logos are there, and everything is there, and everything is okayed by Fender, by Harley. It's not like just somebody in their garage
Ripping them off, yeah.
Exactly. It's all. So if you were to contact this company and you had something that you wanted to do, what you would do is submit your ideas, do a little, blueprint and sketching and things of that nature, and then the gentleman would do this. It's machine etched.
Yeah.
It's incredible work.
That is,
and
that's
and what's
gorgeous.
really cool about it is that it's a one of a kind.
Yeah.
So even if you, as maybe an Elvis fan, were to say, "Hey, I saw that gentleman who had the Elvis guitar. I'd like one." Well, he'll make you one, but it's not going to be a duplicate.
That's
So
right.
what's cool is that this isn't number 5 out of 200. This is number 1 out of 1. So it's the only one in the world.
Gorgeous instrument.
And the company is Axtrix. Maybe you guys can do a little number for them later, or let people see how to contact your guitar players out there who may be interested in doing it. And I'll tell you a quick little story. This came up, and this guy right here was epoxied in, the glue. And unfortunately, it was shipped before the glue was totally dry.
Oh.
So during the shipping, Mike, you could see a couple of little dots there
Those
that it
specks.
was banging around. So they said, "We'd be happy to take it back and refinish it." And I said, "No, it's one of a kind.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a lot more than those dots by the time, we're done with
Now,
it.
when you do your solo gigs,
Yes.
you play guitar on those gigs?
On my solo gigs, what I will do, it depends. If I'm doing the Sun Record stuff or the Las Vegas Elvis,
Yep.
it's just an acoustic. For the Las Vegas Elvis, it's a prop because Elvis wasn't plugged in. It was just a prop. He could play it, but it was just a prop. And this one I play like on solo gigs where I'm doing like a little variety show
Sure,
or
sure.
something like
Yeah.
that. But the actual Elvis gigs, I'll take an acoustic
Yeah.
and do that because that's pretty much what he was more noted for.
I'll never forget the time I was staying in a hotel across the street from Graceland. I was playing in Memphis for about 10 days.
Yep.
And I didn't know where I was. I got up one morning, I said, I got to take a walk, get some exercise. I'm walking down the street with my head down, and I thought I was hallucinating. I looked up, and I could see what appeared to be the wing of a plane coming out onto the sidewalk. And I'm like, what? And I looked up, and there's an airplane that says Lisa Marie.
Yes.
And
TCB.
yeah,
On a wing.
it was parked across the street from
Yes.
Graceland.
They're
and
still there.
I bet it is.
They're still there. Well, there's a private concern who owns them. They bought them years ago.
Yep.
I'm sure they worked out a deal with Elvis Presley Enterprise to leave them there on loan and probably get X amount of
They
dollars.
had the shop there by the plane where you could go in and look at all
Yeah.
there was some suits, one of his original Gibson guitars.
Well, they changed it now.
They did.
That was a little museum they had across the street.
That's right, yeah.
They had some cars, and they actually had the first time that I went was 2010, and they had if you got Sirius.
That's about when I was there.
Yeah, if you got Sirius Radio, then Channel 19 is Elvis Radio. So they were broadcasting live, and Jim Sykes was on, who's still with them, and I went in and did a little interview with him.
All right.
And I got to see the studio and whatnot. Now they built a mega complex across the street. It's huge. I mean, you got to do a lot of walking.
To
They
see
took
it
a
all.
lot of the stuff that was in the house, brought it out, and then a lot of the other memorabilia they put in. Stuff from the Army, stuff from when he was a
Yep.
kid, and more of the suits, more of the clothing, more of the movie stuff. They've got areas which have the movies, the
Fantastic.
posters, the clothing, so forth and so on.
The clock is running down. Where can people see Robert Black next couple upcoming gigs?
Wow.
Gigs
Well-
are open to the public.
Yeah, Plain Ridge would be
Plain
a good
Ridge.
one. Unfortunately, I do not have the dates in my head. I wish I did.
Robert Black
But,
has a website.
Robert Black has a website. Good thinking, Mike. It is robertblackentertainment.com. robertblackentertainment.com.
You want to zoom in that one for a minute, folks, and you can see his schedule. And go catch a show. You're really going to be in for quite a treat. This level of entertainment is getting harder and harder to find in New England. So when people of this talent put this much effort into putting together shows and production like this, if you want them to be here, we got to get out and support them. So get out and support Robert Black. Go see a live show. There's a lot of great music out there. You'll be stunned when you see this guy's show. You really will. You'll be a fan. You'll be going to him regularly after that, and make a day of it. Make a day of it at Plain Ridge. There's a lot of good food there. Hang out. It's a family-friendly show.
It's a friendly show. Oh, in
So-
fact, before I forget, I'm not sure how far Gardner is from here, but the Rising Sun will be in Gardner, Massachusetts,
Excellent.
September 8th, doing an outside show for 2 hours free, all ages.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you for tuning in to Guitar Talk. Thank you, Robert.
Thank
God
you, Mike.
bless you all. We'll see you at a gig. Take care.